those of you who follow my channel, you know as a former Californian, I'm not a big fan of Gavin Newsom, the governor who has allowed our state to deteriorate with homeless encampments under every freeway overpass, with homeless shitting in the streets of San Francisco and all around. Laws not being enforced, massive spikes in crime, elevated taxes, the drive for equity, equity, equity. And now finally, because of his hypocrisy, because he went to the French Laundry restaurant unmasked, lied about it, then was caught with photos of what actually took place, then has a mea culpa moment, and he's continuing to lock down the state. He was questioned recently by Jake Tapper of CNN. Jake Tapper, according to many, is the best CNN anchor and asks the toughest questions. That's not saying much. That's like saying you're the best in the retard league. Not a big fan of Don Lemon, of Chris Cuomo. I think that they're actually spiteful people. Jake Tapper, on the other hand, is okay, according to many of my friends. But he at least asked Gavin Newsom a follow-up question when Gavin mentioned the fact that, as I stated in my last video, that all the key supporters of the recall effort were MAGA and were on the far right and were the boogeymen that he wants you to associate because he wants his Democratic base to stay loyal. And the way that he can do that is to get that association that if you're in favor of the recall effort, that you're in favor of them. The one thing I want to point out, and I'm going to play this little clip for you right now. You can see what he says about his COVID efforts and the lockdowns and the effects that it's had on California.
Do you think that any of your COVID restrictions went too far? I understand that hindsight's 2020 and that we're all experts a year into it and we weren't a year ago. But looking back on it, were any of your COVID restrictions too tough?
Well, we have 1.8% positivity today. That's lower than all but 3 states in the country. We have lower death rates in the vast majority of states in this country, certainly much lower than places like Florida and Texas. I believe we've saved lives. We're led by science. We're led by health, led by data, not ideological, open argument.
Look, I know I rag on the guy a lot, and you can see that he said that the infection rates in California are well below that of Florida, and he says that that's like a good thing. He spins a negative into a positive for the average person, and I do these videos not to point out specific things, but more so because I don't always catch the dishonesty of politicians. They talk fast. If you don't have a lot of knowledge about something, it's easy to overlook. In this case, however, it's very apparent to many of you out there when he says that the California has a lower infection rate. First of all, Gavin, you douche. Nobody cares about the infection rate. What they care about are when people are long haulers, when people have serious effects of this, or when they die. If the infection rate is high, then that and higher in Florida, that might be a good thing because the number of deaths, they're ahead of California, unlike what he said, in terms of deaths per million people. They are ahead of California in this is also with having an elderly population. If you take a look at Africa, part of the reason that Africa you haven't heard anything about COVID in Africa, that's because it's such a young continent where the average person there is something like 25 years of age. COVID doesn't have the effect that, yet Florida is doing better than California in terms of deaths per capita. And the fact that he's pointing out the infection rate is lower only means that the people in the state of Florida are closer to group immunity. So all the damage that has been done to students who've been forced to stay home, all the damage that has been done to the economy and all those businesses that will never reopen, all those people that have learned to suck off the government dole rather than having the self-respect of going to work and producing something, and the bailout money that he's getting from Joe Biden, because somehow Biden got elected, right? And yet he's somehow bragging about the fact that California has a lower infection rate. How does that help you? That just means that there are more people in the state that are going to get infected. Meanwhile, Florida is closer to herd immunity. So California, while destroying the economy, while destroying students, has an infection rate that still has to rise, or they have to be vaccinated, whereas the people in Florida have gone through it. And the human system has been able to combat the disease. Our immune system is now become anti-fragile, whereas in California, all those who haven't had it, haven't been exposed to it, Oh, congratulations, Gavin. That just means more and more people are going to get it in your state, right? Is that an accurate assessment? Again, the point here, yes, I do want to rag on Newsom. Yes, I do want his ass recalled, and I want that stenciled on his ass, branded like with a cattle prod, recalled, and then booted back to his winery where he can spend his existence drinking himself to death. Is that a nice thing to say? No, but I have a lot of contempt for him. He is a liar, and once again, he is promoting something as a positive that is not. And this is the value that I hope that I offer you guys in terms of reframing what he's framed under a value for the state of California in terms of what he's done. Newsom, Deouche, get recalled. Look forward to it. Move to Florida. Move out of the state. I'm no longer there. Peace and blessings to everybody out there. If you think I've added any value, please share this video and give it a thumb up on YouTube if you're new subscriber. Peace and blessings.